Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am doing Roxy's Weekly Challenge week number 43. Now I'm going to use this sheet of paper. Rachel used all different sorts of other paper, but I'm going to use this paper because this is going to go into my December dailies that I'm making at the moment. Well, it will go with them more than in them. Okay, so I'm going to cut this to 7.5 inches. And I'm going to cut it down to, let's say, 11.5, 10.5, 9.5. I'm going to cut it down to 10 inches, say. Now you can make it any size you like. I'm making it this size because that's the size that will fit into my December dailies, or with my December dailies. Right, so now we're going to use our scoreboard. We're going to score 1 inch on each end, so 1 inch and 9 inches. Then we're going to spin it round and we're going to score at 1 inch on the bottom. That's that. Now, I want the plain side on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to fold those over. This is a really simple project. It is an ephemera folder, I guess you'd call it. Let's go that way. That goes that way. And these go this way. Okay. Now, these corners here, these bottom corners, we're going to cut those out. And I'm cutting the fold line off. And that one. Like so. So now I'm going to fold. Oh, I didn't score it in the centre. I should have scored it in the centre. So now, was it 10? So I'm going to score it at 5. So if you are going to make a different size, you need to have 1 inch on each side and 1 inch on the bottom bigger than the actual size that you want to make your folder, and then score it in the middle of the width, full width. Okay. Okay, so that goes up, they go in, and this folds over this way. So this is going to be the inside of my folder. Let's see if we've got that pretty well straight. And I will burnish that. Okay. Now we're going to make sure that's clear, and you can see there's just that little gap there where the fold is. So that's going to fold back there nicely without catching on anything. And I'm just going to run some, I'm going to add some glue to this bottom section of this side flap. It will annoys me, so I'll use this one. So it can fold over like that. And the same on this side. Okay, so that is our little folder for holding some embellishments. Now, I have made some embellishments to go in this. Let me just clean up this glue bottle, put my pin back in it. As I said, this is a very quick little project. So now I'm going to add something to those pieces. I've got plenty of scraps here, so let's have a look what we can find. Rachel put something along the bottom, but I'm not going to put anything along the bottom because I'm quite happy with that green along there. This one, oh, it's two separate pieces, so it's not long enough. What else have we got here? Well, that would be sideways if I did that. Not that that would matter. So I'm looking for a piece that is as long as that piece. I'm not too keen on the the cars going sideways. That piece would be alright. It's not wide enough, I don't think, for two. How wide is it? One and 3/4. Would probably be okay. We could do that side. Let's do that side. Right, put all these scraps out the way. And get my trimmer back. So how long do I actually need it? And leave a bit of a gap at the top and the bottom. So let's say there. If I cut this in half, I would go to 7/8. I think that's half. Now, that can go on there. That one can go on there. Perfecto. Right, or do we want the floral side? Which one's best, do you think? I think I'll go for the script side. You can ink, of course, if you want to. I haven't been inking in this, well, I haven't actually done any embellishments, but I have been inking a few different things with some sort of an apricot-y pinky colour and a green, so I could have inked it with those. If you're using something that's directional, make sure you've got it up the right way. This text has to be up the right way. Actually the perfect width, wasn't it? Okay, I'm just going to burnish that blue down. Alright, so that is our embellishment done. And we've got inside here we can do journaling, and we've got outside here. Now the idea of this is to put bits and pieces in here that can be used throughout the journal. So I do have some things here that I have already inked up and prepared. I did have, here we go. Oh, I made these tags. So I've done heat embossing on these with gold embossing powder, and then I've used my green ink pad and a water brush to colour those. So that can go in there. So I'm going to have to trim that down a bit because I made these to go into one that's wider. So let me get my trimmer out. And let me trim this. Oh, it's going to be a bit tricky, isn't it? Because I've got that already there. I'm going to come out to this little stroke here on both sides. There we go. Well, I'll have to do that for all of them. Now let's put a bit more of a corner on those. Now I'm going to ink these up. Now I added some Christmas serviette to some white cardstock, and I'll insert a video now showing you how I did that. Now I've got this Christmas napkin. It's a 2-ply, so I'm going to take the backing off, and the easiest way to do that, I find, is to stick some sticky tape down, and then if you hold on to the sticky tape, you can generally get the layer off. I'm going to gently peel the second layer off, trying not to tear the one with the print. So these are pretty cheap serviettes. So there we go. Now this, I will cut that up and stitch that into ruffles. Now with this, what we need to do now is, I've got some cardstock here and I'm going to put a coat of glue on that. I'm just using this PVA glue. Just going to sort of put that all over the place. And I've got a brush here. It's a bit wet, probably don't really want it all that wet. So I'm going to spread the glue out as I go. So we want a pretty even coat of glue. We want to make sure we get it right to the edge. Wherever we haven't got glue, the serviette's not going to stick and we'll end up with a bubble, and that will lift in time. So it's important that we try and make sure we get glue everywhere. I might be off the page here, off the screen. I'm doing the same thing all the way up and down. Okay, now there's heaps of glue on that. Now I'm going to take my serviette and I'm going to lay that down on top of that. And then I'm going to gently pat it down, trying to make sure that I get a complete coverage, you know, like it's touching everywhere. You don't want to rub it because you will tear the top tissue. So I'm just patting it down. Make sure we've got it everywhere. I've got a brayer here, so I'm just going to run that over it. Oh, look at that. Not such a great idea then, eh? It's because I got too much glue and it was coming through the tissue and catching on my roller and then picking the tissue up as it went along. So forget that idea. Just go back to patting it down. I'm just going to say that is good enough. Now we're going to put another thinner coat of glue on top. So this time I'm just going to put the glue on my brush. I'm going to spread it. Gently tap it down without lifting the pattern or the tissue. I'm not sure if this top coat is actually a necessity, but everybody that I've seen do this does do a top coat, so I'm going to go with the flow. I have done serviettes like this before, but I haven't tried doing it so that I don't do the top coat. Perhaps I should try that sometime. Let you know how it goes. The glue does come up from the bottom layer anyway, it just soaks through the tissue. Now once I've got all this top layer of glue on, there's not much else to see. I'm going to set this aside to dry. Now this, because it is so saturated in glue, it will take a while to dry. Now when I made that, I also then cut out this tag, and I have just added a little strip of paper and a bow fussy cut to that, and added some gold ribbon to those. These have the apricot ribbon. Now I'm just going to show you quickly how I do the colouring, just in case you haven't done it before and you want to know how to do it. Now let's pop them out of the way for now. Right, so take your ink. Now I'm just using the Versacolor inks at the moment. And I'm going to do green and the pink, so usually I just do one colour at a time. I don't really want it drying out in the meantime. And then I'm using like just a water brush, so I'm going to just dip my water brush into the ink and colour with that. The ink the water just flows from the brush, so that helps to move things along. So because this is heat embossed, so those circles are slightly risen, so it does help to contain the ink where you want it. It doesn't sort of flow all over the place. So that's basically how it's done. Pretty straightforward, and you know, you can still get it outside the lines if you're not fairly careful. So I'm going to do one of these with the pink and one with the green. These are the same colours that I used on the other tags. If you want a little bit more water to come out of your brush when you're doing this, you can squeeze your brush here and it just pushes a bit more water down into the filament that is your, what's that part called? Your bristles. Well, they're not really bristles, they're more of a plasticky sort of thing, I suppose. You can also use a normal paintbrush if you wish. I just use this because it's easy. You don't have to have a pot of water sitting around. And then when you finish, you just wipe your nib on some tissue or paper towel or something like that, or cloth if you use a cloth. I suppose I should use a cloth because it's more environmental friendly, isn't it? Because it can be reused again and again. When you get low on ink on your palette, just rub your ink pad over it again. Now I'm not going to do the green one on camera, it's exactly the same process, so I will do that off camera and I'll bring you back when it is finished. So there we go. You can go over it with a second coat with shading if you wanted to be more artistic. So that's how that's done. Okay, so there we go. That's all painted now and dry and ready to go in my folio. Now, as I said, the idea here is that you put things in that can be used in the journal to decorate or embellish. Okay, so let's pop this one in there as well. We've got two of those, and we'll put say that in there and that in there. And that's not going to fit either. I have to trim a little bit of that off each side. So let me do that. I'm putting them in with the pattern side on the back. You could cover these with, you know, paper, journaling paper, to add extra writing space, but I'm going to leave that up to whoever ends up with this journal to decide what they want to do with that. So we can put one of those in there now, and then one of these little ones down there. And we'll do the same over here. I'm going to put this tag in with the Christmas tree, and I'm going to put this one in that I made with the serviette that I put onto the white cardstock, and I've just cut it into a tag shape and added these things on the bottom, and that is now going to sit in there. And then we're going to put this one on top of that. Now, you can also run a bead of glue down here if you wish, but I haven't, because the fold there makes all of that stay in place. Then we've got a little tag, a little embellishment there, another one here, and a little tiny or little one here. Now I have also got some plain writing paper. This is an A4 sheet that I've cut in half lengthways. So I'm just going to fold this over. Like so. You could stamp something on there if you wanted to. We do that. Or we can leave it plain for all writing space. I think we might stamp something on there. Let me gather up a stamp and some stamp pad. Okay, I'm going to use this Christmas tree. I've used that on one of the tags, so I'm going to use it on here. This is from Papercraft and it's called Sparkle. And the other stamps that I used are from Woodware, which is these two baubles, and that's called Bubble Mini Baubles, and this Christmas tree, which is called Bubble Spruce. They're fairly old stamps, so I don't know whether they're still available or not. Okay, so I'm also going to use my Versafine Onyx Black to do my stamping. I could use the colours, but I think the black will be my choice. So let's just open that out and pop that down there like so. Just give it a bit of a push, make sure we're getting all areas touching, and lift off. So that's that one. Do you want the same on both? Yeah. We could put two of the smaller ones on this one, couldn't we? Let's do that. Will two fit on there? Not really. Will hang over the edge. Do I want that? That should be alright, I think. Let's try it anyway. Plenty more paper, haven't I, if it doesn't work, or if I don't like the look of it. Just going to go over onto there. Will that matter? Probably not. Okay. Now this Versafine ink does take a little bit of time to dry. You can use it for embossing if you want to. So I just don't want to do too much to that until it is dry. I just burnish my paper. And then that can go in here. That's if we pop that. Pop that in there. Like so. And this one, we can burnish that one down. And pop that one in the other side, perhaps just in there. No, in between the two maybe. So it just pokes out the side. Right, so now I'm going to add a little embellishment down here. I've got these Christmas parcels here. I'm going to stick those down. So as you can see, this is, as I said, a fairly simple little project, but I thought it was a great idea to add a few little extra bits and pieces to a journal to be used when you use, when you're actually using the journal, when you might want a little bit, something a little extra there. Okay. So I'm going to add the label. Just add it on top, I think. Like that. And on the other side I've got another parcel and a word. I might put the word first this time. So these are all cut out of the 2 paper ranges that I'm using for my December dailies. And there we go. Now, our last little thing to do is to, so we've got our 2 pockets full of embellishments there, and then we've got some bacon area here. You can write in this, you could put it in a pocket as a journaling spot with just a little something in the outside pockets, and then you've got all this journaling space. You could add pockets on here and put other things in here if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I think it's nice as a journaling spot. And then we wrap a ribbon or something around it. A bit more. And cut that off. And tie it. I'm going to use my tweezers to hold that in place while I tie my bow, because bow tying is not one of my strongest points. And I'm just going to pull that out a little, like that. As you can see, I've got my bow going sideways instead of... Anyway. So there we go. That is the Roxy's Weekly Challenge week number 43. A handy little ephemera holder. Now you could use this for Happy Mail. It'd be ideal for Happy Mail, especially if you put your 2 extra pockets inside and you can put extra bits and pieces in that. But I'm very happy with it like that, and that will go along with my journal. So I'm just planning on sending it with the journal, or if you wanted to, you could make a pocket and stick it in and put this in the pocket. I made another one. This one was the first one I made, and you can see that that one's a lot wider because I made this one smaller because this one doesn't fit. If you wanted to put it in a pocket, you couldn't. It just wouldn't fit. So that's why I made the second one smaller. All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining me. And I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you can join me when I post my next video. Okay, bye.